somebody.
Hey, I forgot
Okay.
to print my stuff.
So-
Does anybody have a copy with you?
Yeah, I'll get it to you in a minute.
Want me to hand them out?
So, when we start the
Okay.
thing. So looking at 14, yes, there are things in here and I'm gonna tell you, the greatest of theologians come down on both sides of this. That is, at the end of the time, it's on earth, that it is toward the middle, and it is in heaven. But I looked at that, and in verse 3, it says they sang a new song where?
Before the
Before
throne.
the
Before the throne. Now, the question I have is, when Christ comes back to earth to wage the war, does the throne of God come then?
No, because I think he's busy being a soldier. I think he's gonna be gloriously strong and vibrant and do the fighting. I don't think he wants the throne stuck in that mess.
That is what I think also, but I'm not sure. Any other ideas? And I even thought, does the throne come down before the new heaven and the new Jerusalem? Which is after the 1,000 years. So see, we still have a lot of questions, don't we?
Wow.
And that's why we have another whole year of study. But anyway, it says before the throne. So I looked at this and I said, it looks to me like verses 1 through 5 are a scene in heaven. And when you talk about them being sealed, we can go back and I looked at this word and I cross-referenced sealed throughout the whole Bible. And it really just means to make it a sure thing. So is it a sure thing that they will not be killed, or is it a sure thing of their salvation?
It's their salvation.
Or is it a sure thing for a certain period of time? Remember, he sealed them before the seventh seal was broken, or before they came to earth, let the angels loose to do the destruction on earth.
So this is the same 144,000.
I
That
believe
were
it is.
sealed.
Now, some would say it's not. That's another thing that you will have to decide that nobody really knows.
Wow.
To me, I said, why would God say this 144,000 and then this 144,000? It doesn't make sense to me, and I think God wants us to look at what makes sense to us too. So I think it's still the same 144,000. And if it is in heaven, then they have been martyred.
And it says that they're offered as the first fruits.
Yes.
To the lamb, to the God and the lamb.
The first fruit, meaning there will be more to follow,
Right.
more
Remember
killed.
that whole multitude that
Yeah.
John couldn't even count?
And they're
That's
Jews
right.
again.
And they're Jews, and they did a great ministry, didn't they? They created this revival, but, okay, so then when I started looking at verse 6, I saw another angel flying in mid-heaven. And remember when I led you about this before, the definition of mid-heaven was the highest point in heaven which the sun occupies at noon, where what is done can be seen and heard by all. And we have this angel that is in mid-heaven,
So he's
not
gotta be
in heaven,
way up there in
in
that
mid-heaven,
stratosphere, yes.
and making this proclamation. So I think we have moved from a scene in heaven to a scene in mid-heaven.
Glory.
Does that make 7? Because it says right there, remember she also told you, make sure you mark every time those who dwell on the earth, or though, in this case, it's those who live on the earth, I've highlighted those, and that's in verse 6. They all are gonna hear this angel. So, he is in this mid-heaven. Another thing, it says, look at verse 13. And I heard a voice from heaven saying, right, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. That's a time phrase. That's giving us a clue, isn't it? So I think if this chapter is progressive, the 144,000 have died, but there are more who are going to die. And it says, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. So if this was at the end of time, there wouldn't be more dying, you know, in the Lord.
What verse were, when you said
Verse
blessed?
13.
What was that?
I'm in chapter 14.
I see it.
chapter 4, or verse 14 starts again. It says, "Then I looked." It's like, okay, we have something else to see now. Then I looked, and everything that is happening here is we see the sickle, we see the reap. We see in verse 17 a temple which is in heaven. The temple is still in heaven. And we see 18, sickle. We see the blood up. This is the reaping that is going on. That's going to happen, I think,
Wow.
at the end of time. I think this is the description of Armageddon. So now we're to the end of time here. So it's like we have 3 different visions in this. But I'm not sure.
And that sickle swing, the good and the bad are all being killed, but that's.
We don't know.
We don't know that?
No, we don't know that yet. We have not really studied that. We're gonna look at it some more today, but I think we need more study to know what is this reaping, what is happening, who's being reaped. Anyway, we'll get to that. So, anyway, I have moved chapter 14 to happening after the beast and the harlot and the reign of the beast. So down here I put 144,000 Jews, and I put them from, we know when they were sealed in chapter 7, so it happens from chapter 7 in the first 3.5 years, but how far do they go is the question that we do not really have answered and may not have answered, have an answer to. We'll have to see how that goes. Okay, so then we have to go backwards a little to chapter 15. What is that all about?
Well, so that it's the last of the judgments, it's the 7 plagues are coming in.
Okay, so first of all, the bowls are given to the 7 angels in chapter 15, and then in chapter 16, they are being poured out.
But it also indicates that the wrath of God is finished in verse 1, meaning that, I don't know, I'm putting that as the end of the tribulation.
Yep, that's what I have, end of the tribulation there. So this is what I am marking as the second 3.5 years. But we still have a couple of chapters left. So what happens in Revelation 19?
Oh, they're singing hallelujah. Oh my gosh, it's the greatest chapter there, which is.
Well, almost.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus comes with his armies. The beast and the false prophet are thrown into the lake of fire. And then what happens in 20?
The new,
Well, there's a 1,000-year reign and the great white throne judgment, but I cannot figure out where that reign comes in.
The rain comes in right now.
Okay, good, send me that.
Satan is bound and thrown into the abyss. We have the first resurrection. That's the resurrection of those who have died in Christ. And the 1,000-year reign. Christ is here on earth now, and is starting his reign.
oh glory, oh glory.
And we are reigning with him.
Oh glory.
And Satan,
Is bound.
he is bound, but after the 1,000 years, he is thrown into that lake of fire, and that is the end of time.
Is there a battle after he comes back up?
He tries to gather them together.
So when is that Armageddon thing? Do you
Well,
think it's
I
before
saw
the
that as
1,000-year reign?
the description of the blood up to the bridles,
Yeah, I put that
but I
down.
don't know. I don't know. This timeline's tough, and hopefully as we study another whole year, we'll know a little bit more about the timeline. Okay, and Revelation 21, this is the glorious time.
There's the new heaven and new earth.
This is when time is over and we have a new heaven and a new earth and a new Jerusalem, and God is here. temple, the tabernacle, and he dwells with us and us with him. That is the glorious time. And so I've called this the judgment time, and Christ's return and the 1,000-year reign. So I guess you could include this into the 3.5 years, at least this part about Satan being thrown, but I put my line there, that all of the bad stuff is from there forward, from here on. Christ is here and he's taking care of everything.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, now,
Are you sending this back?
I can. I've sent it to you once, but I've changed it, so I'll send it again. And like I said, stand by. There'll be more changes, I am sure. Okay, so now, let's look at chapter 17. And I gotta tell you, even with all the hours I have put in looking at this, I got up and changed this morning. When I looked at it again.
Wow.
So, I think that is going to be, what will happen.
Is that Excel, when you do all that, how you make it go whoop, whoop? What is that, PowerPoint?
Yeah, I'm in PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
Okay, so let's look at this Babylon. What is the name of the harlot, the great harlot?
There's several names.
What is she called to start with?
The Great City.
Okay. All right, let's look at it together in verse 5. 17 verse 5. Now, the way that this New American has it, a mystery is not actually, it doesn't actually look like it's part of her name, but it is, the name actually is a description of her, so I am including the mystery as part of the name. So her name is Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and of the abominations of the earth. Now, where have we seen anything about Babylon in Revelation? Do you remember? Yeah, we saw it in 16, but we also saw her in 14.
And 11.
Okay. All right, let's look at, what verse do you see her in 11?
Verse 8.
Verse 8. Because you think the great city is Babylon? Yeah, no, I think that great city is Jerusalem because it says where also their Lord was crucified, and we know he was crucified in Jerusalem. So the witnesses will be in Jerusalem, will be killed in Jerusalem, their bodies will sit in the streets of Jerusalem. So that is not Babylon. But we do see her in 14.
But there is similar descriptions of Jerusalem and Babylon. Babylon is also called the great city.
Yes, it is, which
So,
made it
yeah,
confusing.
Yeah,
And she cross-references it.
yeah. So, I don't know, I wouldn't rule out that Jerusalem could be this Babylon.
This Babylon?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
Hey,
I'm not saying, but
I
I'm
know.
just saying that
Or
could be a
it could
possibility.
be an imitation again. Everything Satan does is
Right.
a copycat of
Well,
God's real life.
right.
Yeah, mystically called.
Right.
Yep.
And in Daniel, I know we're not there yet, but the beast puts his throne there in Jerusalem.
Yes,
And
because he
it's very
defiles
clear.
the temple.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So,
we know that from Revelation, that
Right.
the temple gets defiled.
And the
Right.
nations
And that,
are
we
able
know
to
that's
trample
where it will be
on.
built.
right.
So,
And it could be also Babylon, because we know that he's building his power somewhere till he moves to Jerusalem. So it
Okay.
could be emerging
Right.
at that point.
it
where-
definitely could be that too.
Because he's gotta come to that temple and put in his throne, so.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of questions about this, all right?
Yeah.
But when we see Babylon in 14, we have the Lamb and the 144,000 on Mount Zion. But we had 6 angels These weren't angels of the seals, trumpets, or bowls. They were 6 separate angels. And I saw the first 3 as giving warnings. The first warning was, fear God. Don't fear that beast, don't fear Satan, but fear God.
Oh, yep.
The second warning I saw as, don't follow after Babylon because Babylon is fallen. So that's where we see Babylon. And then the third warning was, don't take the mark. And then the next 3 angels were all about the reaping that Jesus is told to reap. And the 5th angel has a sickle to reap, and the 6th angel comes and tells the 5th angel to put his sickle in and reap. So we see the pronouncement, at least, of Babylon being fallen here. Then in 16, chapter 16, go to 16 and look at verse 17. Then the 7th angel poured out his bowl upon the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple from the throne, saying, "It is done." What is it that's done? The wrath of God is done. And then we see that there is flashes of lightning, sounds and peals of thunder, and a great earthquake such as there has not been since man came to be upon the earth. We've seen other earthquakes, but this is the mother lode. So great an earthquake was it, and so mighty. The great city was split into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and Babylon the Great was remembered before God to give her the cup of the wine of this fierce wrath. God has something special in mind for Babylon, whatever this Babylon is. So we see the judgment of the harlot in chapter 14 there, and we see it also then in chapter 16. So at this point, if you had to decide, is this a religion? Is this an economical system? Or is this an actual city? Would you be able to tell?
Can it be all 3? Can it be a city with a government leadership that
Can
is
it
gonna
be?
fall?
Yeah.
Can it be all 3? We don't, okay. Let's go on. It says that her name is a mystery. What is a mystery?
That's not revealed.
Okay, I just
Right.
have thought.
It's just something that has not been revealed. And we saw the finish of God's mystery. God has had mysteries throughout time. Remember, he showed Daniel the vision, but what did he tell him to do? Seal it up, don't talk about it, this isn't for now. And it got revealed later, and we know God's mystery is revealed. Well, this Babylon is a mystery. Now, if it's a mystery, something that has been hidden, could that be a city? I don't know. I'm not giving you answers, ladies, because I don't have any. But I want you to start thinking about these things. Remember, we are still observing. Okay, now, it also calls her a harlot. What does God in the Old Testament always refer to harlot or harlotry as? Idolatry. If you look in, and I was gonna have us turn, I think we have enough time, would someone look up Exodus 34, 12 to 16? And someone else look up 1 Chronicles 5, 25. And we'll just look at this, how clear it is, how this imagery is used of idolatry, of false religion.
I've got
Someone have the
first one.
Exodus?
I've got the first one, yes?
Okay, go ahead, Nancy.
Exodus what?
It's Exodus 34, starting at verse 12 to 16.
Okay. Be careful not to make a treaty with those who live in the land where you are going, for they could be a snare among you. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and cut down their Asherah poles. And do not worship any other god, for the Lord God, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Be careful not to make a treaty with those who live in the land. For when they prostitute themselves to your gods and sacrifice to them, they will invite you and you will eat their sacrifices. And when you choose some of their daughters as wives for your sons, and those daughters prostitute themselves to their gods, they will lead your sons to the same.
Okay, and in different translations, that prostitute is harlot. So we see that God considered idolatry as a harlot. How about 1 Chronicles 5:25?
I got it.
Okay?
Said I got it. There it is. But they broke faith with God of their fathers and whored after the gods of the people of the land, whom God had destroyed before them. That's 25.
Yeah. Now that is good. And let me tell you, there are many, many scriptures that we could pull out from the Old Testament that shows that joining yourself to another god, God sees as being idolatry and harlotry. So we see this Babylon is a harlot. Not only is she a harlot, but she is the mother of harlots. So what does a mother of harlots spawn?
More.
More harlots, more people who are joining themselves to other gods instead of to the true God. So does that sound like a religion?
Yes.
It does to me. Okay. She's making those follow after her idolatry and worshiping of false gods. Now, think back. We studied Genesis a long time ago, it feels like now. But when did false religion first come in?
Probably before this, but Babylon at the Tower of Babel.
Tower of Babel is where they recognize a false religion. Now you go clear back to Adam and Eve. It was like their sin was idolatry. They said, "I can be like God." You know, that is idolatry, setting themselves up as God. But that was the individual. But when they talk about a whole people and a religion, now all the people to Noah were wicked, and God destroyed them all because they were so wicked. But when we get to Babel, we see a whole people that are saying what?
They wanna be as good as God,
They
they wanna
want-
make a tower.
We're gonna build a tower to heaven. We're gonna be like God. They have a false religion again. Babel was the precursor to the ancient Babylon. So out of a false religion practiced by the people at Babel came these people in Babylon. Now, what do you know about Babylon, the ancient Babylon?
It's in Iraq, it's close to the city of Ur. Didn't Abraham come out of that same area at some
Yeah.
point?
It's built on Euphrates.
But what do you know about that kingdom of Babylon?
Well, they
Solid.
captured
They
the
captured
southern
it.
kingdom.
Yes.
They were taken as captives.
Yeah, they were the world ruler at that time, and they came in and took the southern kingdom of Israel as slaves. The northern kingdom was already gone by Assyria, and now Babylon is the world power. Remember we looked at the horns and we talked about the powers, Egypt, Assyria, Babylon. These are the world powers. What kind of religion did Babylon have?
Not a godly one. I mean,
Not
it
a
was
godly
many
one.
pagan-
They had multiple gods, and they considered the king, the chief god, Marduk. So we see Babylon has this false religious emphasis here and influence here. Okay, so what is this person, this harlot, this Babylon sitting on?
Scarlet.
She's she's riding on the beast and sitting on the waters, which are,
All sorts of people and nations.
it is the nations, it is everybody. And what does sitting on that mean or indicate?
Well,
Must
means that
be
she
ruled
rules
over
over leaders.
all the nations.
Yeah, it's a rule or at least an influence. Now, who is behind her? The ruler.
Satan.
It is Satan. He is in charge of everything at this point, and he is allowing this person to come up. But she has influence and rule over the entire earth at this point. And it specifically said that she has influence over who? The kings of the earth. In verse 2 it says, over the kings of the earth. And again, that that phrase, those who dwell on the earth. So she has influence over everybody. Her influence is worldwide, even though it is Satan who rules at this time behind her. So why do you think Satan would allow this to happen? This religion to be pervasive?
Well, cause he's gonna step right in and it'll be so easy for him to take control of the one leadership government of the entire, whatever's left of the earth. He'll just step right in and become the leader, so he's letting her pave the way.
Yeah.
Her purpose is to do that, rather than take it from her.
I believe that is true too. He's going to have her unite the whole world in this false religion for his own purposes. What else does he want her to do though to people?
To destroy the saints,
Yeah, to destroy the saints. What about the unbelievers?
keep them from coming to Jesus.
Keep them from coming. He wants to, he knows the battle he's going to lose, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
He knows his end.
And so he just hates
He knows,
mankind.
but he wants to take as many with him as he can. So if he can set up this false religion, a religion that the people are going to like, then he'll be able to lead them astray. And that is exactly what he wants them to do. So, what is the harlot influencing them to do?
Commit acts of immorality.
Acts of immorality. Now, what is immorality? Did you look up that word?
The one that's
What?
Is that sexual perversion?
Yeah, yeah, it is
Is that what it
illicit
is?
sex, sexual perversion. She is going to influence them to do that. Now, have you ever heard of religions that incorporate illicit sex? Yeah, we have right in the Bible, in Hosea, and in Deuteronomy, it warns them, do not let your sons and daughters become temple prostitutes. So yes, there are religions that incorporated illicit sex. She also, just wants to let them have it. Let your lifestyle be this. If you remember back to the Gnostics, in the apostles' time that were so strong, they said that whatever happened in the body did not affect what was happening in the spirit. The spirit could be clean, you could be a Christian, and yet you could do anything you wanted to do, live however you want to live.
Is that Jezebel?
That sounds like the spirit of
Well,
Jezebel, doesn't it? It does,
Yeah,
kind of.
of course Jezebel worshipped Baal. She was not Christian or anything like that, but, and I want to refer to Jezebel though too. So anyway, she, we see all of this illicit sex as being both a lifestyle and a religious thing. But what is abominations? Did you look that word up? Abominations is idolatry. It is idolatry. And what is the harlot drunk on?
Wine.
Oh,
Blood.
The saints.
Blood of the saints. Is she literally drinking the blood? Is this harlot
But I
drinking
bet
blood?
she's cheering it on.
She's just enjoying it.
Yeah.
All the
What I
truth.
want you to see is we are having pictures that show us a truth, an illustration.
Well, I think this term, drunk with the wine of her immorality is a very important phrase that kind of indicates all of this we're talking about.
Yes.
Because the wine sounds kind of blood-like in
Yeah.
color, and the fact that that is the thing that she has to offer
Yeah.
is that, so that they are completely drunk, so they're really hers. You can kind of get this picture.
Yeah.
And the
You sure
opposite
do.
is when Jesus at the Passover drink, this is my blood for
Mhm.
you. So this is the imitation.
The imitation again, isn't that great? Okay, so she is drunk on the blood of the saints. What is that showing us?
There's more martyrdom going on.
Right, she is killing the Christians, and she is doing it enough that she can be drunk on it. Okay, have we seen religions kill Christians.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we sure have, and Jezebel was one good example. She killed all of the prophets except God had a remnant. Remember that? And then, we saw the Romans and what they did to the Christians. And then we saw the Inquisition and what the Catholic Church was doing to the Christians that disagreed with them. And today, we see Islam killing the Christians. So religions have killed the Christians. Now, what's gonna happen to this? Yes,
I'm sorry, are you
Are
still
you
recording,
running that on
right?
there?
I'm recording here.
Oh, it just shut down.
Okay.
That's never mind.
What's gonna happen to this harlot?
She's gonna die. She will be put to death.
Well, I was a bit confused in that, so these kings are, so she rules over these kings, but then it looks like they all turn on her?
Well,
Yes.
when she says the kings of the earth, there are all these kings throughout the earth, but then there are these 10 kings that come up.
Okay, so that is a different set of kings.
Yes, and they are giving they get power and they are giving their power to the beast. And, these kings and the beast will hate this Babylon.
And this is God's plan.
And this is God's plan and his
The
judgment.
purpose.
And what does it say that they will do to her? In verse 16.
They'll bring her to ruin.
Yep. Okay, so they're gonna make her naked and eat her flesh. Is that literal?
No, but I think they'll probably burn the city.
No, it is, that part is definitely figurative. But yes, there can be a burning of the city. So, do we see a city?
Yes,
Do we see a religion?
yes.
All
But
right,
to make her
is this how Babylon is fallen?
yeah, I think
So
so.
it's the beast and the kings that will
Yeah.
cause Babylon to fall.
But she will be part of the great earthquake too,
To make her
that
naked.
God brings.
This isn't the great judgment.
No, I don't think so.
Right,
This is just the
No,
demise
Is
of
that
No.
what you're asking?
Yeah.
The great judgment on?
Right, so it's
like
not.
the-
I don't think it's the great judgment. of
No.
God.
No, I think God
She
has a,
seems like a means to an end.
Right.
yeah.
They wanna
But
take
they're
over.
gonna do away with her influence, because who are they gonna worship?
Right.
They're gonna worship the beast.
Right.
So at some point, the beasts and kings are gonna do away with whatever this other religion is,
Right.
whatever this other influence is, and have everybody worshiping the beast.
Okay.
But I think there is a city, and I think there is a judgment that is gonna come on the city from the Lord in the end.
And when that city's gone, then Satan himself can say, hey, I'm stepping right into the temple, and that's Jerusalem city, not the city that just got demolished. I think there was a Rome somewhere, and I think it's
A lot
burned
of-
up, and I mean,
Yeah.
it may not be the Rome we know, but I think there is a mighty big city that she has the influence for all the mankind at that point, and whenever that place falls,
That
then
is the
Satan
best.
knows exactly how to
Babylon.
step right into the temple, and then he becomes, really nasty, ugly, powerful in those last few minutes.
Yeah.
Well, and it does seem that this would be in the first part, because the kings and the beast seem to have ruled together. But in the end, the last 3.5, it's just the beast. So to me, the 17 is in the first half.
In
of
the first half. Wow.
And also, I mean, we haven't studied Daniel, but in that last, where all 10 kings make her desolate, in Daniel, it talks about that he gets rid of 3 of the kings. So at this point, all of them are there.
So would you move this line past here so that the appearance in chapter 13 is, is when?
I think that this is another, like, okay, this,
Snapshot.
snapshot, so it's like, we've already, he's given us 11 through 14, and then he tells us, okay, then the bowl judgments. And now I'm gonna give you the snapshot of Babylon, so this is more information about Babylon. The 17 I see is in the first half, and then the 18 is the judgment.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So all of 18 goes over to the right. 18 and down goes
So
over.
the beast is from the beginning.
That's kinda how I see it now. But, I mean,
Okay, all right, we'll have to study that further.
Yeah.
I had always assumed the beast would be through the whole thing, and so I was surprised when I saw this is where he appeared. So then I thought, okay, this is just God's wrath starting, and then the dragon, once he's thrown, brings out the beast.
right, and we'll find that out in Daniel, that he is from all of those 7-year time periods.
Okay, all right, well, stand by for a change on the timeline.
Aren't you
Okay,
glad you do it on the computer?
yes,
Just a minute.
I am. It took me a long time to make that, but I'm so glad now.
So are you gonna bring it back next week refreshed?
No, I'm gonna wait until we study Daniel.
That's right.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I'm not gonna take her word, and I'm not gonna take your word.
Don't ever
I'm gonna
take my
study
word.
for myself and
That's-
figure it out. That is what precept is all about. Studying on your own and figuring it out.
So are
Now,
you-
we may help each other. Yes, Kathleen?
You know what I think about is that some people learn, by reading, and some people learn by seeing, and I see some of these as animated.
You know what
That
would be cool?
God animated the story so the people that need to see it.
In pictures, in visuals,
pictures
like art.
Is like 17 and 18.
Well, you know, have you all ever seen, someone help me, that cartoon thing?
Yeah.
Dennis has shown some of them where they will take a book of the Bible and will tell you what it's all about as they draw the
Oh, I
cartoon.
love that,
Bible
yes,
project.
it's called.
Bible Project. It's fun. I wouldn't base my theology on it. I wouldn't base my theology on the Left Behind series. You know, we're studying God's Word and trying to figure it out. But I thought it would be fun, like maybe at the beginning of next semester when we just come and that first week we don't have a lesson to, as a review, listen to the Bible Project.
It's called Read Scripture, you guys, it's amazing, it's like this, and it draws it out so fast,
It
while he's
draws it.
talking, I'm just like.
So what is that
It's
again?
it is a fun thing.
What was
But
that called?
anyway,
They
What's it
literally
called?
draw, as he's talking,
It's the Bible
takes
Project.
each picture,
if you Google that, you'll find
like,
it.
so quick, it looks kinda like this, and they go like rapid speed.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
It's
now,
crazy.
how long is the beast in authority though? 42 months. So that would put him coming in at the beginning of the second half,
Who's in authority here?
the beast.
Well, but, I mean, we can see that he and the kings have authority at this point. That he's part of these group of kings. In the second half, it's just him.
Okay. Well, we'll leave that for later. We do see at the end of chapter 17 that it actually says, the woman who you saw is the great city, which reigns over the kings of the earth. So I have a hard time just throwing out the idea that there isn't a specific city.
Right.
And I kind of see that as kind of the headquarters for this reign. Okay.
You know,
eight-
Satan is so smooth, he can't just walk right in and take over Jerusalem. So he has another big city somewhere where there's power and authority and a government that's working well,
Yeah.
you know, and you think at some point when that city is kaput, then he says, oh, it's my turn to walk right in and
Walk in and
Take the
defile
next
the
place.
temple there. Okay, chapter 18, we only have about 8 minutes to go through it. How does, the angel describe Babylon here?
fallen.
It says it's fallen, but what else? In that same verse, 2.
That she's become a dwelling place for the demons.
Yeah, a dwelling place of demons, a prison of every unclean spirit, and a prison of every unclean and hateful bird. If you take that literally, wouldn't there have to be a city where these things can dwell? Now, I'm not sure about those demons and spirits, but a dwelling place, if they dwell in people, or I don't know. But it seems like that would be a specific place. And what are God's people told to do? Come out from her. Now, that could be interpreted two ways too. Are we not called to come out from this world? That we're to be in this world, but not of this world? That could be come out, don't be a part of that religion. Or it could be a literal, come out of that city. Because what's gonna happen in that city?
It's gonna be.
Yeah, the plagues are gonna come. And if you stay and be a part of her, which I think means more than just living there like Lot like Lot did.
Sodom and
In
Gomorrah.
Sodom and, if you're there a part of her, you're going to get that judgment too. Because you probably aren't the Lord's then. And we see there's gonna be pestilence. That pestilence means death. When you look at that word, it actually means death. And mourning and famine and fire. Well, if there's gonna be fire, there's gotta be something to burn.
What verse are you on now?
That's 8.
8, okay.
And this happens with what bowl? The 7th bowl.
And it happens all in one day.
And it happens quickly, and we also know the 7th bowl is the end of what? God's wrath. So whatever is happening here is happening at the end of God's wrath, at the end of time.
Why the seventh bowl?
I
Why
don't
not
know.
the first and through the seventh?
I don't know, that's what God did, what God said, or what God's going to do. But note there, he talks specifically about Babylon, that she will experience the cup of the wine of his fierce wrath. I think at the very end, the whole earth is going to experience his wrath, but there's going to be something special for this city, for this Babylon.
Wow.
So are you saying it's a part of the seventh bowl, or?
See, that's what I took it as, that it would be at the end with the 7th bowl destruction.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of questions, ladies, and that's good. We'll keep studying if we have questions. Okay, what are the kings of the earth going to do when all this happens to Babylon?
They will mourn over her. Economic things have just fallen to crumble. They've just, a whole money system, a whole world system has just gone.
It has, hasn't it? It says that they first of all, they have enjoyed the lifestyle. They have participated in that, and it said that all of these luxurious and splendid things were in her city, so they have lived sensuously with this city, but they have traded. This city is rich, and they have bought the goods of these merchants, and now they can't, and the merchants are gonna lose all of their wealth. What about the sailors?
Yeah, all the
Same
shipmasters.
thing, isn't it? Yeah, they'll be out in the cold too, because this is the main place that they have come to trade with, and it's all going to be laid waste. They're all going to mourn over it, and mourn over the lifestyle that they have enjoyed and is now gone. And look at the list of the things that will be gone: music, crafts, mill works, which means industry, lights. There's not gonna be any electricity. Marriages, it's all gonna be done. So what does it show about this city?
Just collapses.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
It is going to be utterly destroyed, utterly gone. And why is God doing this to Babylon? Verse 3, what does it say?
Because all the nations participated in the
But
acts
she
of immorality.
influenced those nations. She seduced the nations. How about verse 23?
You know it's gonna be a big.
And the
port
light of the
city
lamp will
one day.
shine in you no more, and the voice of the bridegroom and bride will be
The
heard in
nations
you
were
no more.
deceived.
Because she deceived the nations. And in verse 20,
Rejoice over her, O heaven, and you
Rejoice,
saints and apostles and prophets, for God has given judgment for you against her.
she killed the saints and the prophets. So those are the reasons God is going to pour out an abundance of wrath.
Okay, I did
on
look
this
up this
city.
word. As
That
in-
verse 20 right there is,
I looked up
could it
the
all
word
be taken almost as an
sensuality.
answer where we have in the 5th seal, them crying out?
Oh,
Could
yeah.
this be the,
How much longer, O fulfilled,
Oh,
Lord,
yeah,
will you
I
avenge
definitely
it?
think it is.
Yeah.
He says, rest, wait a little longer, it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, ladies, we do have a lot to learn yet, don't we? And I'm so glad that we have another year, and maybe we can sort out some of these things, as the Lord gives us wisdom.